Rachel Parsons and I travel alone.
All over the world.
To show you that traveling solo
Doesn't have to be so scary.
and that being alone doesn't mean you're lonely. So come on, don't wait for anyone to go with.
The world is not going to wait for you.
Don't be afraid.
Coagulated pig's blood.
Don't be afraid.
Be a Peregrine dame. The Philippines is an archipelago nation comprising 7,107 islands.
Its capital, Manila, sits on the southern end of the northern island of Luzon.
Until the 1500s, the islands and all of their tribal cultures were floating along just fine. Then Magellan showed up, planted a flag, claimed the lot of them for Spain, and started the process of Christianizing. For most of the 500 years since, the Philippines has been occupied, colonized, repressed, and manipulated by Spain, Japan, and the United States.
And for the city of Manila itself, a short-lived British colonization was thrown in for good measure. Today, Manila is actually a collection of cities, known around these parts as Metro Manila, a metropolis of nearly 13 million people. I've come to Manila alone, like usual, with no crew and no companions. And I've chosen a hotel in the commercial district of Pasay on the south side of the city for one very geeky reason. No, it's not a human microwave. It's the Kabayan's answer to the bunk bed dorms found in many hostels, though they have those too. The hotel offers lovely standard rooms as well, but I really wanted to stay in a capsule, sometimes known as a pod. Oh yeah, this is cozy. This is cozy. There are pros and cons to this, obviously. The pros are, compared to sleeping in a regular dorm in a hostel or a hotel like this that has dorms, you get more privacy. You're completely enclosed, which is nice. You're not looking over seeing whoever is in the bed next to you. The cons for this room are, there are no windows, so if you wanted to wake up naturally via dawn, you're out of luck. You're gonna have to set an alarm. Otherwise, it's great. Now, there are 10 units in this room, 10 capsules, but I've only noticed so far one other that's actually taken, so I may get lucky and have the room almost to myself. The price is comparable to many hostels in this area, but, you know, this is more fun. I landed in Manila late in the morning, and I've found to adjust to new time zones quickly, I need to stay awake until a reasonable local bedtime. So my first order of business is a walkabout to keep me up. I don't walk about for long, though, before I stumble into a lot of other people who apparently also need to stay awake. I've inadvertently wandered into a massive Catholic feast procession.
This is Santo Niño Festival. This is every last Sunday of January.
Ah, so
Every
once a year.
Yes, once a year. Every last Sunday.
I got the right time. The one time
yes,
is here. This is Rojas Street. This is one of the largest main north-south drags in Manila. This street is usually one of the busiest, most heavily trafficked streets in this city. And this feast has completely closed it.
The days-long Feast of Santo Niño, or the Child Jesus, is celebrated throughout the Philippines, a predominantly Catholic country.
When Magellan landed here in the 1500s, he had strict orders to Catholicize this country, and they took it like gospel.
The revered original statue of the child is said to have been brought here by Magellan himself in the 1520s, when Spain began its colonization. But today's festival is fascinating for the unique Filipino cultural identity and openness that infuse it.
The adults in that dance group are men. The LGBT community in the Philippines is culturally embraced and accepted, if not politically acknowledged.
At least on the surface. This is still a religiously dogmatic society.
So the fact that a group of fabulous gentlemen in feathers can take part in a Catholic procession with open arms and are welcomed means the rest of us, quite frankly, can get over it. This is the most alive I have felt in a very long time. It it's still coming. It's been hours and it's still coming. We've walked miles and it's still going on. Listen, if you get the chance to be a part of something this powerful, this cultural, in a place you're visiting, don't hesitate. Don't stand on the sidelines. You will regret it. If you can step off the curb and be a part of where you are for a moment, then traveling will be worth any expense and any hardship you have to endure to get to where you want to go. And that is what traveling is all about.
If I were leaving Manila tomorrow, connecting with the culture in such a powerful way tonight would have been worth coming here if only for a day. The good news is I'm not leaving tomorrow, so I can head back to my pod because in the morning I get to participate in another classic Filipino rite of passage.
They say the first time you try to catch a jeepney, it's pretty tricky. So I'm going to see if I can get on one of these things to head north.
The humble jeepney is the predominant mode of public transport throughout the islands, and certainly in Manila. Jeepneys were originally made from leftover U.S. military jeeps after World War II. The vehicles, as well as their wonderfully colorful bedizenment, have become a cultural symbol of Filipino life.
All right, I got lucky and got on one right at their starting point. Normally you have to hail them as they go, but when you catch them at their origin point, it's pretty easy to hop on.
The routes are typically defined, but there are not always official stops along the route. And if you're not at a hub like the one where I began, you may have to hail one like a taxi. If it's not going the direction you want, the driver will tell you. But there's something more scintillating about a good jeepney ride. The sights and sounds that are Manila are very easy to portray through this lens. What you're missing are the smells. The very wealthy neighborhoods in Manila, like many places that have such a huge gap in income levels, are sparkling clean. But anything from a working class neighborhood down are filthy. And in the heat and the humidity that goes along with the tropics, it's quite odoriferous. I've come to Manila alone, but before I left home, I asked friends if anyone knew anyone here. I was introduced via email to a friend of a friend of a friend, and presto, now I get to make a new friend.
I'm Julian Rodriguez, and I produce and I host a TV show called Game Plan. It's a sports and travel show.
It's just dumb luck that the friend of a friend is also a media personality and a travel enthusiast. We decided to meet in Intramuros, the old colonial heart of Manila. Intramuros sits at the mouth of the Pasig River on the south bank and is what's left of the original Spanish city founded in 1571, the origins of Manila. It's a convenient central meeting spot, and as a traveler, you'll make your way to the now tourist trap one way or another. The name Intramuros, meaning within walls, is still apt. The district boasts the beautiful Manila Cathedral and our particular meeting place, Fort Santiago, built in the 1590s. The fortress bears testament to the myriad conflicts that the Philippines, named for Spain's King Philip II, has seen. It was the place of execution for Filipino patriot and hero Jose Rizal in 1896. Rizal had advocated peacefully for reforms of the Spanish government over the islands.
This is where they say Rizal was last before they let him out to get shot. This small room, it's a decent sized room.
In no mood to tolerate dissent, the Spanish authority made an example of him.
So you see these small steps on the ground? These are marks of Jose Rizal's feet where he stepped. And they say that the footprints are close to each other because his feet were bound. So he'd have his hands bound and his feet bound, and he's just walking slowly towards Manata Park where he was executed.
The scars of World War II are apparent nearly everywhere you look. Evidence on the face of the fortress of the American assault to take Manila from Japan at the end of the war is sobering.
If you look at it, since this is the gate here, so they blocked it off, and this was actually assaulted before. They tried to get in and started shooting at the walls. So if you stand back and you start seeing these holes, those are bullet marks or shell marks.
At the end of the war, the Japanese used Fort Santiago's dungeons to imprison Filipino and American POWs. This monument on the grounds remembers the lives of 600 enemy fighters who were found dead, starved and possibly suffocated in these dungeons. Outside the fort, not far away, is another memorial. This one to the more than 100,000 civilians who died during the horrific fighting.
Which was actually the Americans coming into Intramuros to pretty much destroy the Japanese in the area. What was funny about it was that not a lot of people wanted to go in the city while the Japanese were here. So they decided, let's bomb it instead.
Okay.
But there's Filipinos in there.
Right, there,
Let's bomb it still.
So the memorial inside Fort Santiago is for the people who were prisoners of war who were captured and killed or tortured in there.
By the Japanese.
By the Japanese. This is for everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else who died during the bombing of Manila.
Paradoxically, like many places that are so beautiful, Intramuros has seen its share of brutality. Today, the invasions in Intramuros are of a decidedly less appalling nature.
Basta!
Give me money.
Wala kaming pera! Wala kaming pera! Wala talaga!
Ayun na, zero.
Saan?
Ayun na, pangakain ng
Oy!
Teacher,
Sala mo na! Alis! Alis! Hoy!
Hey, Perez!
Wag makulit! Kabila!
But even outside the walls of the old quarter, the ghosts of war still exist, if you know your history and what to look for.
So where we are driving right now on Taft Avenue, this used to be a minefield in World War II. During the occupation of the Japanese after the Americans were driven out, this whole place was pretty much set up to be a minefield for anyone who'd come in. All the way up until this corner here. This was one of the prime points in World War II where they would position snipers up on top of this tower and shoot at any of the soldiers that would come by. So it was taken over obviously by the Americans, the Japanese, and back to the Americans, whoever controlled this tower pretty much controlled the area.
Taft, like Rojas Boulevard, is one of the largest north-south main arteries in the giant city.
Taft Avenue was originally designed to be a long boulevard with fountains every few kilometers. But the war broke out and all plans just disappeared. There was a lot of plans for the Philippines pre-World War II, but the war just really derailed all the plans.
And nobody ever got any of it back on track, obviously.
Nope. I think in Philippine society, the issue here is really the people who have power, or the people who have money, pretty much, but money and power are the same, are pretty much the ones who call the shots, which is common everywhere, but you'd expect it to be a little less obvious here in a society that's very judging of what people do, especially if you're caught with corruption. Or even one senator was caught plagiarizing and he didn't even say sorry. He plagiarized a speech and he didn't say sorry. So there's something wrong with society when you see people make mistakes in public and still own up to those mistakes. I mean, they don't own up to the mistakes, but they just let it be. They don't mention anything about it. They don't say sorry. They don't make repairs. Once you get to the top, you can pretty much call the shots for anything. You can change the system if you want.
Yeah.
There's so many things that's going on here that's very illegal, maybe, but it's because it's supported by people who are in politics too. There's a lot of rules that are broken and a lot of people will just look away, but when they want something or when they feel that they could use it somehow, then it would happen. It's like being able to, it's like being lent something by a friend all the time, and then at that one point when you have it, they call you up and they say, hey, why do you have it? And you go, but you always lend it to me.
Yeah.
So it's really almost like it's kind of like it takes advantage of people. Yeah. It's old. It's archaic. It's a very old system, which is still very Spanish-based.
Julian brought bicycles, so we've decided to ditch the car for a more immersive mode of transportation. Bike riding on the streets of Manila is an adventure unlike anything I've ever experienced.
And I know Julian was taking it pretty easy on me because we started our ride in Bonifacio, where there are broader streets, flat avenues, well paved. Traffic is still pretty thick, but nothing like the older neighborhoods through Manila.
So as you can see, it's not really the easiest thing to take a bike around the city, huh? But I think a lot of people are still led to do this. Well, for financial reasons too, but yeah, it allows you to see a lot of the city, quite a lot of the city. You smell more of it.
Odors aside, there's a more important reason that we've ended up in this area. Bonifacio is one of the toniest sections of Manila, but that's not what Julian has brought me here to see.
What's interesting is that we just came from a place where it's one of the most expensive places in the Philippines, and all you gotta do is just cross the road, which we did by bike. And if you see here, all the people who live in this area are actually the ones working in the restaurants, the ones working, cleaning the gardens, and maintenance and plumbing and all of that in the rich area. But if you look at where they live, it's completely different. It's a very big gap, pretty much. It's just a road, but it's a large gap.
The barangay, or neighborhood, on this side of that large gap is called Pembo.
This is what happens when you don't stick to the well-beaten tourist trap path and you actually bother to spend time with locals. There's no way I'd know about or be able to get to Pembo without Julian. But this is the way Filipinos in Manila live. This is real Manila.
And it's about to get really real because I'm not leaving the city without partaking of its famous, or infamous, street food.
So this is pig ears, this is chicken intestines, this is barbecue, pork barbecue as a control.
Okay.
This is what you call Betamax. The reason why it's called Betamax is because it looks like a small Betamax tape.
What is it?
Well, Betamax is coagulated chicken blood turned into cubes. That's what it is.
We're gonna be safe and start with plain old barbecue pork. Like this I know. This I need.
Oh, you can dip it too.
I don't wanna make it you.
Oh, you can just dip it.
Okay. I just double dipped in somebody's straight vinegar. But I'm okay. That's good.
Okay.
That's very good.
Now take a bite of the other one then.
Okay. Here we
Stop
go.
beating around the bush, Rachel.
I'm gonna work up to the coagulated blood Betamax. This is a chicken's intestine. Intestine. It's kind of chewy. Kind of tastes like chicken. It's not bad actually. It's yeah, I mean it doesn't taste like much. It doesn't really taste like chicken, and I'm not sure what intestine's supposed to taste like, so here, there you go. Alright, okay.
Next one.
This is pig's ear? Yeah. Alright. Hot. That's pretty fatty. Yeah, then crispy. That's about what you think it would taste like.
And the finale.
Yeah.
Can you hold it up?
These are very good. Thank you. There we go.
What is it?
This is colloquially known as Betamax because they're shaped into square cubes, but this is coagulated chicken blood. Alright. If you think about the texture of firm tofu, that's about what that is. And it doesn't really have a flavor one way or the other. Certainly doesn't taste like blood.
It mostly tastes like smoke from the grill.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, cool.
All right,
Hold
there
them
you go.
up.
Ready?
Yay!
I've never had a food bucket list, but if I did, now I can check off chicken intestines and coagulated chicken blood, aka Betamax, from that list. Filipino food in general is not for the light-hearted. So one of my goals while I'm here over the next week and a half is to find some vegetables, because they're sold everywhere in the streets. The street vendors have them piled up to the rafters, but I don't have any way to cook, so I'm gonna have to find some restaurants that really cater to that, because so far I've had a lot of white rice, which is a staple, and a lot of meat, which I don't mind, but at some point I'm gonna have to have some nutrients. All of which is to say, if your diet is typically low in fat and or carbohydrates, Filipino food may be a nice change of pace. Luckily, Julian has a plan for me to work off everything I just ate. Not too far from the Pembo-Bonifacio divide, he knows some people who started a thing. When I woke up in the morning, if you'd said I was going to end my day swinging from a trapeze, I would have thought you were insane. That's Manila for you. You never know what's around the bend. After a short tutorial, which I only pretend to understand, my trusty compadre Julian asks if I have any last words.
What do you think?
I'm ready. I mean, there's the first time to die in the Philippines, right?
What you gonna do?
For everything, falling over and breaking my nose could happen.
What are you doing?
No.
She's gonna attempt
Confidence.
a knee hand backflip.
That.
This is an interesting way to meet people.
With the man steady cam in his hands.
I'm glad somebody can laugh over this. Lest anyone think I know what I'm doing, this is what I believe it's supposed to look like. Notice the hesitation. And the look of creeping panic. At the first verbal cue, I freeze. In my mind, I look like this. Again, in my mind. And the reality. Mind. Reality. My coach on the ground is telling me I'm supposed to do a backflip. Which goes exactly according to plan. So I just go off script and start making it up. Apparently, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Mind. Me. Mine. Me. When in doubt, dismount. So much for impressing the locals. It was one of the most fun things I've done in a long, long time. It's not for anybody who's afraid of heights, but if you're not, and you find one, I highly recommend it.
How'd it feel?
That was great. Oh, God. It's a way bigger rush. When he said backflip, I just went, wah! Oh, that is amazing.
In truth, the whole city is amazing. Manila has more faces than I was expecting. The beautiful, the flawed, the historic, and the forward-looking. But I'm inclined to agree with Julian about the best aspect of all. What do you like best about this city?
The people. I think the Philippines prides itself in the people. We Filipinos, a lot of people, you know, I think we're very resilient. There's so many things that we go through that people tend to just I don't know, for some reason Filipinos can just brush it off. If something bad happened, you brush it off. It can work as a good thing, it can work as a bad thing, but most of the time, I think we're pretty optimistic. That's what I like about the city. If you ask for help from someone on the street, they'll help you. They'll help you. They'll take the extra effort to make sure that you achieve what you need.